Good afternoon and welcome back, Jumps fans. I am, of course, Pete, also known as Risk for Rewards, and I've got two heroes of the game and Twitter companions, and that is Racing Lee and Ginger Joe. So last time we spoke, lads, we spoke many times since, but last time I had you on this channel, Lee, first up, obviously you came on and you gave us a horse to follow, which was, of course, Brighter Days Ahead, and one to avoid, which was A Dream to Share. So Lee's the man to follow in this sphere so far. Lee, what have you got for me this season? How are you anyway? First,
Yeah, I'm good, Pete. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into Cheltenham this weekend. I'm going down and hopefully have a nice few winners each day, Friday and Saturday. Looking forward to the season ahead. We're just really warming up and kicking things off. Chepstow was good. We're taking another step forward, I think, with Cheltenham, and then we've got we're into them bigger meetings. We've got Down Royal, who I think will be great. I was looking, Gordon Elliott isn't in the best of form. He normally targets that meeting and he'd be cleaned up. He'd be looking, get things rolling as well. But yeah, brighter days ahead. She's now going to go to the Mares Hurdle instead of chasing. Last season she done great. I think the only slip up was kind of in that Mares novice hurdle where she was second to Golden Ace, who I think is a great horse, to be honest. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing how she gets on this season. But went and won the Grade One at Aintree and done us good. And then a Dream to Share kind of never sighted. So yeah, want to take and want to dodge, and hopefully this time I can get a few as well.
yeah, because obviously she didn't actually win. So as much as we gloat, like you didn't get your Cheltenham winner, Lee. No one gets paid
I
for
didn't get the Cheltenham winner, but I did. She won all the.
have the
After,
nuts on at Aintree.
yeah, look, you've got to. You can't just focus Cheltenham. You've got to stick to the season as well.
Yeah, this is true. Right, so Joe, how are you, mate?
I'm good, Pete. I'm good. Yeah, really glad to be back on with you and Lee. Feels like a while, like you said, since we've been on the channel. Like just echo everything Lee said. We've got Cheltenham this weekend. Just can't wait to see the horses swing around the bend again,
Yeah,
charging up that hill. I don't care if anyone's disappointed with the fields. I am buzzing to be back for Cheltenham. Of course, I'm born and bred there, but regardless, this is the home of racing. What else do we live for?
correct.
Yeah, it is sad how excited we get by something. I
Maybe a
always look
little.
back, I always think this time of year, I had a missus, and to be fair, it wasn't like, like when you've got a young partner, it was like a few years ago. And I remember her saying to me, she goes, "You do realize that one day something in your life will be more important than Cheltenham." And I just looked at her and I was just like,
You
I was
don't
like,
get it.
no, I was like, no, it won't. I was like, what on earth's going to be more important than Cheltenham?
I love
And
that. I love that.
yeah, and we're not together anymore. So, and my new missus, well, not my new missus, it's been a long time now, but she understands. So we're on
Yeah.
that part.
Good, good, good,
Um,
good.
right. So anyway, let's crack on. So the way this is going to go, as usual, down the bottom, I will timestamp everything so people can see and skip through the bits that they get bored of us talking. Um, I'm going to go to the two lads. Obviously, as I mentioned just then with Lee, his horses to follow last year. So the lads are going to give you something a little bit different. So they're both going to give you two horses to avoid this year, and then maybe one or two that you might want to follow, just as like a little intro. And then we're going to just fly through all the Cheltenham races for Friday and Saturday. There'll be some races that we won't have opinions in, and there's some that we're waiting for prices still. So anything that we have got, we will share with you. But as I've said, it'll all be time stamped along the bottom for ease. So first up, Lee, give me one of your horses that you do not like this year.
Well, look, Pete, I'll try and kill two birds with one stone. I'll give the one I
Okay.
like and dislike because they kind of come in the same race.
All right.
The one I don't like, Redemption Day. I think, to be favoured for the Supreme, he's had a million bumper runs. What is it? Well, look, he's had seven, I think it is. And there's got to be more potential in there. I think, is an 8-year old or turning eight there. And yeah, just see something coming out the pack. I don't think you can justify being favourite off the back of like layoffs and then so many bumper runs, and he's been AWOL from these hurdle runs that we don't know kind of what goes on behind the scenes. But yeah, it's one I'll be taking on. The one I like at a massive price though, and I think maybe it's be a Supreme horse or thereabouts, and hopefully can build up in the season. The Yellow Clay is a massive price. I think 25s, and you can maybe get a little bit bigger. for a Supreme. You've got plenty of options going for the middle distance there. The Gallagher, likes of Jallant Dairies and Romeo Coolio, maybe is how to split the pack. You definitely need a little bit stamina to win that Supreme in a good mix, and I think the Yellow Clay will have that. It finished second behind Redemption Day in a bumper, funnily enough, when last seen, ahead of a great horse who Joel know all about, William Money. And I think it was a strong bumper run, considering, look, hindsight, Redemption Day, he's had them runs and he was kind of match fit against them type of rivals. They were still learning on the job. He had more experience. And I thought the one that come out with credit was Yellow Clay. So one I like, the Yellow Clay, one I don't, Redemption Day.
Perfect. Thank you, Lee. And Joe, what about yourself?
Yeah, my horse that I don't like comes in the same race as Lee. At the moment, anyway, for the most part.
It's not the Yellow Clay, is it?
It's not the Yellow Clay. No, it's not the Yellow Clay. No, I think that's a cracking shot, actually. It's a really good show. Jasmine DeVoe for me. I don't like the run of this race at all. Certainly not for a Supreme anyway. The style of his running doesn't scream like he's a 2-miler to me. I know there's this whole facade when they say you need to be a stamina-bred horse to win the likes of a Supreme, but that's a bit of a misconception, really. I think it's more the case that they need to be able to maintain their top speed for longer. Doesn't mean they need to be a 3-miler, but for me, I don't think Jasmine DeVoe's going to be a Supreme horse. I can see this one stepping up to 2.5 miles, maybe even 3. I really believe this is an out-and-out stayer, so I wouldn't be chasing the price for him at the moment. And the reason I'm saying avoid him is because even if he does step up and trip, I would be disappointed if there wasn't a better horse over those sort of trips that was going to be able to beat him come March. So Jasmine DeVoe's one to stay away from for me. If we're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, a horse to follow, possibly Celtic Dino. Not necessarily sure he's going to turn into a horse for Cheltenham. He may do. He's still got a lot of time on his side, but he won at Wincanton this time last week, actually, at Wincanton. He had some decent bumper form, but he started off at Wincanton, and if you watch him at the beginning of the race in comparison to how he finished the race, you'd think they were 2 completely different horses. He was very green and keen early on, had a good look around at his hurdles and wasn't necessarily too slick, but when you look at the time he got to 3-4 out, he was slick, he was travelling powerfully, and he put the race to bed quite easily. Now, he didn't beat a lot that day, but he still won by 14 lengths, looked like a speedy animal. I suppose the long-term target is possibly going to be something like the Betfair in February. He's going to need another 3 runs. You've got plenty of time in between now and then. I think you can have a lot of fun following him this year, and you'll probably get a couple more wins out of him too. And who knows, if he goes and wins the Betfair, he may end up in the Supreme. Not saying he's going to go and win the Supreme, but contenders are well worthy of a chat as well. So Celtic Dino, I think you'll have a lot of fun following him this year, that's for sure.
No, spot on. Cheers, Joe. Especially, obviously, something a little bit different. I know everyone's been harping on the content is all about anti-post Cheltenham now, and everyone is doing it, but obviously it is important the rest of the season. Right, so I'm going to run through 2 of mine, and we didn't discuss this beforehand because otherwise I would have tried to find something different. But my horse to take on is actually Jasmine DeVoe as well. That's my main take out of Cheltenham last year. It was the first horse on my list that I just wanted to be against. But I wanted to be against going into Cheltenham as well. And I was surprised that managed to get the job done on the day. Because Patrick, despite obviously him having the choice of 5 or 6 and choosing the right one, he really wasn't overly bullish. Like, it was like almost like a spin the wheel and which one will I get? He was saying how the horse is perfect for bumpers, but going forward is a little bit narrower, like lacked scope, didn't have the same range as other horses. And all of these things were screaming out that if you don't have that sort of thing when you're obviously just running in bumpers, how are you going to progress? And the same as what you've mentioned already, I'd be disappointed if there aren't better horses. And I do think this year you don't want to. The horse that I'd take out of this isn't the horse I'm going to mention, but out of that race is that I prefer Romeo Coolio. But I think going forwards, I just think I'll be shocked if there's not better horses. And I don't think they'll come from the bumper sphere of that race. I think they'll come from elsewhere. But yeah, that'll be a horse. Wouldn't surprise me, breaks a maiden in the odd race. But I mean, if that goes shorter and shorter for the Supreme, that's all the better for me because I'll be looking to take it on.
Can I just say,
yeah.
I think because people say champion bumper winner, Willie Mullins, there you go, there's your Supreme favourite. Like, you know, you need to kind of shop about and open the book a bit more. Like, I'm kind of against the horse as well. I just think is automatically installed into one of them favourites because you've won a bumper, and especially you got, look, he is all conquering, he is the GOAT, I would have said. But yeah, there's plenty about, and we don't know how the pack is going to change as well.
Especially now that they're buying so many more horses from France as well that look like they're quite speedy finishers. They don't race too quick over in France, but it often turns into a sprint. So they're buying a lot of speedy horses, like, so it's similar to yours with Redemption Daily, isn't it, as well? Like, you'd just be disappointed if
there wasn't
something better. And Redemption Day is not going to be seen until November, I'm aware of as well, late November. So just makes you wonder: is he really ready to go again already, or has there been another setback? So,
or can he even jump a hurdle?
exactly,
Yeah.
there's another
There must
question.
be some reason why he keeps running over bumpers.
Absolutely,
Get it back
absolutely.
But obviously, look at that. So straight away, we've took the front two in the market. None of us like. It wouldn't surprise me if there's better, the likes of Salvatore Monday, Kopek de Boards, all these other horses that end up better than these two that are the head of the market already. So anyway, right, going on to my horse, a horse to follow that. Again, speaking about injury fitness and stuff, a horse that I really liked last year was Grange Clare West. I don't know how fit he's going to be. I don't know if we're going to get to see him, but I just think that last year came out, ran 2 novice chases and absolutely bolted up on both occasions. On the second occasion, it was Hammer and Floor and Porter. And who was the other horse? I think was it Corbett's Cross, the other horse in the race?
I can't remember, Pete. I can't remember.
I should know this, considering I'll
have a look.
Apologies.
I can't even remember the race. That's pretty bad.
Oh no, I can remember the race vividly because it was it was Corbett's Cross. So hammered Corbett's Cross and Hartwood first time round. Hartwood won the big DRF handicap. Corbett's Cross, obviously a festival winner. Then second time round was not sent off favourite again, and then hammered Corbett's Cross again. But that time it had Floor and Porter in the background, who obviously has won the Kerry National the other week.
Yeah.
So like that is rock solid form for the level. Always has looked unexposed. The biggest issue is always going to be keeping fit. The reason I like this horse, I know obviously everyone else isn't all about Cheltenham, and I am, but Grange Clare West, the connections, obviously Cheveley Park have won the Ryanair 3 of the last 4 years. Emboy Allen finishing second last year. So they're looking for a new recruit. Emboy Allen is too old, in my opinion, and that would be a prime spot. Willie's got so many good 3-milers and stuff. If they can keep him fit, even if it's only have 2 or 3 runs a year, his stamina just looked to be running out towards the end of the race. I'm not sure how much he was holding on to, even though he was obviously absolutely bolting up. I just thought he was electric. He's an exuberant jumper. He reminds me of the way he jumps and travels, and he's quite uncontrollable in the early stages. He is quite Alaho-esque.
I love that. I love that.
And I just think he's a long-term project, sort of thing that if you see he's coming out and Willie says, yeah, he's all good sort of thing, he's going to be lightly raced. He may only have 1 or 2 runs, but he's got no issues of his jumping. It's already pretty impeccable. So he would be able to go there. It's just if he can be fit on that day. And with his ratings and his RPRs, he was not far off the top level of last season's crop. And I just think, as for Ryanair, it looks a no-brainer of where he's going to go if he's fit. So yeah, just a bit of a long shot one.
I love that. I love that argument, Pete. I love that.
Yeah. So right. So anyway, back to you, Lee. Come on, give us some negative.
Are we going chasing?
Wherever you want, mate.
You
go to Joe if you want.
Well, no, I'm gonna kind of kill 2 birds with one stone. It links in with Joe actually, because I like Marshbar for the Brown Advisory. I think Marshbar is got a good chance. I know Joe has mentioned about the age, and but I think just maybe it's a different stamp. If I look at stuff, I definitely think the age that they get all lost at sea is like 5-year-olds and stuff, and there's not many can bridge that gap. But I think just looks to chase all day long, and I think it's still a fair price. So that type of race, hopefully we can see Mosma coming out and go and chase, and that'll definitely be his target. I think Ballyburn will go at the Arkle, and the pack will then be split. But there's the likes of Dancing City who stays for fun, and there's a few others of Willies off the top of my head, but yeah, it's just how you split the pack. I think in Perry Pass and Ballyburn will go down, and the likes of Dancing City and Marsborough will go up. and now that Turner's the graded one is scrapped. But yeah, I like Marshba, and on that note, it's not one that I don't like. He might go there, but I think you could find one in the Brown Advisory. I keep going to call it the RSA, the Brown Advisory against Ballyburn, and I think he'll go down in trip. So it's not one that I don't like, Ballyburn. I see the potential, but I'm happy to take it on. I think the Oracle's a hot heat already, and I think we can get one against them in that Brown Advisory.
So what you're saying is you like Mashborough for the Brown Advisory, and if Ballyburn was to go to the Brown Advisory, you wouldn't like him there, or you're just saying that you think that he will go to the Arkle?
Yeah, I think you'll go to the Oracle. So it's like, okay. I'd rather take...
So that's why, you're taking an angle on him going to the Brown Advisory, like a price, because you think he's a false favourite.
Yes, correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, so Joe, what have you got for us?
Yeah, so I'll give you my my negative first, and it's
Joe, can I just say, what about Marshba then? You're not keen on him?
I'm not keenly. There's a lot of talk about, because he's a big horse, that he should go chasing. It just doesn't correlate in racing. We've had the likes of Tiger Roll, the smallest horse you can see, go and win like the likes of a Grand National. But my main problem with this is a horse.
There's no fences.
Yeah, yeah. But my main issue with sending these juveniles over fences is that they're not even fully developed until they're way into their 5-year-old careers. And if you send them too early, they can have so many injury problems long term. It just doesn't sit right with me. You look at Long Run, who won a Gold Cup at 6. He won a Gold Cup at 6, and he had multiple injuries. He could never do anything again after that. I think he won one race maybe in the next 5 or 6 years. I just think for the longevity of the horses' careers, it's a wise thing to give them a little bit of time. Now, I know I'm a Barry super fan, a fanboy, whatever people want to call me, but this is something that I do admire about him. He always gives his horses an extra year before he sends them novice hurdling and novice chasing, and it pays because his older horses seem to improve at a much better rate than the younger horses do. He did say this is a problem when you're trying to get yourself new owners, when you're trying to buy like a 3-year-old horse from the market or the sales, etc. Because then tell an owner, oh, sorry, you're gonna have to wait a couple of years before we see them run. I get that, but as far as what's right for the horse, I feel like you've got to give them time. White Rhino is a prime example for the Greenland Guerrero team. They've got a horse called White Rhino. Now he's only going chasing now as an 8-year-old. He's another big, fine stamp of a horse. He hadn't developed fully all of his muscles into his frame until late on. It's just, for me, what would be helpful here, the solution, if you like, is if these juveniles could keep their novice status for one more year. So the likes of Sir Gino and Madgeborough could then go and run in the Supreme and then go novice chasing at 5. But that's where the pressure then comes in for owners. Right now, Sir Gino and Madgeborough, being 4-year-olds, they're in no man's land. You're going to send them down the champion hurdle. It becomes difficult.
But then do you send them? He's not a champion hurdle horse.
No.
Then do you send him to Stairs?
No, sure. You're dead right. You're dead right there, Lee. But that's the point. Well, I mean, they're sort of in no man's land. They've got no real race, but it might be helpful if they had their novice status for an extra year, just to give them that time to develop.
Yeah,
but
you've got to remember though.
I was going to say, what was the horse that won the Triumph under Richard Johnson, and it won?
Is it Detroit City?
No, and it won the Turners.
Daffy Dessau.
Who?
Daffy Dessau.
Yes, that horse was all at sea in that age gap. After the Triumph, it was all at sea, like Joe says.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He had poor run. But this is the thing. This is all fairly new. Like, as in, the Triumph horses used to really struggle to make the bridge up to novice. To, like, say, they wouldn't even be able to compete with Supreme novice hurdlers coming out of. You'd get horses that have won a Triumph and they get beat by horses that were 5th or 6th in the Supreme. Sure. It's only this whole new bringing them in from France, letting them have a year to settle, and then obviously like lightly campaign them. Basically, is a lot of it's obviously Willie Mullins recreating the way that he's training these horses, and they're coming out. And obviously, you've now got the likes, and it's just complete chance that we've got 2 in 1 year, and we've got nowhere to put them because they're too good, really. I mean, they should be going to like things like the Arkle, but they're not grown up enough. And we didn't normally have it. Normally, everyone would just be like, Triumph hurdle winner, they'll get beat as soon as they step out, and they did. Yeah. But now the likes of Lossiemouth, like Vauban, everyone was like, oh, that was an average season. He's finishing 2nd and 3rd in like Group 1 2-mile races. It's just the fact he's bumping into like State Mans and Honeysuckles and stuff like that. That is top level. If you had that 5 or 10 years ago coming out of the Triumph, there's no way they'd be like 7th or 8th in those sort of races.
The Triumph horses, I see that look, you'll stay in time if you're a Triumph winner for sure. But you're the likes of, what is it, Espo Delan and Catchett, I think, are kind of two that have only, went and won a champion hurdle there at that age. The age thing is, I just think he's a kind of different stamp, and I don't see him going down the hurdling route. That's the issue.
But even then, with like Catchett and Espo Delan, they would not win a vintage renewal of the champion hurdle. Like, do you know what I mean? They didn't beat him. It's just like I
think that Espo Delan race was one of the worst champion hurdles.
Exactly, that's the point.
Yeah.
So just give them a year, like let them grow and let them have a longevity sort of career. Yeah. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, he's big, he's a chaser." Well, yeah, he might be, but let him grow. Like, he's a baby, like, we've only seen him run twice as well. You got to remember, we've seen him run twice. Like, sending him over fences to the Browns. It's like,
well, the issue you've got as well is if he runs them anywhere, he's going to win. Which means if it's anywhere over fences, he'll lose his novice status. So it's like you say, it's between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, I get the argument for both sides. I'm not saying mine is absolutely right, but I just feel
I'm just being devil's advocate.
No. You've got to.
If he goes chasing Lee, I'm with you. I'll still be backing him. Right. So Joe, what have you got then?
Oh yeah. So what was I doing? My chaser to go against. So bit of a maybe not even contradictory actually. Firefox. Very straightforward horse, very nice horse, but he's that straightforward and he's that just solid of a jumper. Where's this improvement coming from Firefox? He's already got a make-up ground with Mystical Power, make-up ground with Slade Steel, which means he's not going to be beaten Ballyburn. I feel like you're going to find it quite hard to win with him this coming season. He might start off at Down Royal and go and win a race, obviously, for Gordo in a couple of weeks if he goes there. I'm not convinced there's enough improvement in him to go and see him winning some graded races. I think he's going to be one of these nearly horses. Not saying he's a bad horse, but I like novices that do a lot of things wrong and still win. The likes of Mystical Power finds a bit of comes under a bit of turmoil in a race and still has the gears and the powers to overcome mid-race antics, if you like. But he does everything right and he's still not winning races against the top horses. So as far as I'm concerned there, I would leave him alone. I understand why people are going to get involved. He's a lovely horse. But is he going to improve that much past Mystical Power and Slade Steel and Ballyburn and possibly in Perry Pass? He's not for me. He's going to come up against too many good ones. Oh,
and what about? Yeah, go on.
I want to follow. Okay, fanboys going back to Barry Connell's yard here. We've got there's a horse running this weekend called Hagranka de Tay. Now he's a 141 rated chaser.
Where's he running?
He's running at Galway in the 4:13 on Saturday.
Okay.
Oh, but his first two starts are going to be over hurdles. Now, that's not why we're having him as a horse to follow, but I will mention that as you brought it up. So he's a 141 chaser. He's got a mark of 121 over hurdles, and he's running at Galway on Saturday. If he can't win a race like that, then we're going to have trouble. But the idea of Hagranka de Tay this year as a 141 rated chaser is that Barry sees him in the mould of a Ryanair horse. He's not going to be good enough to win a Ryanair. That's very unlikely. But in his last two starts, again, this is where the development of a horse, I think, has helped him a lot. He's now a 7-year-old gone chasing. He won at Limerick, really good style. And then he won at Punchestown at the end of the last season, going away from a 16-17 run of field. He had Percival Le Gaulois about 6 lengths back in second, and then the rest of the field were miles back. But he had the likes of Duffelcoat and everyone in there too. But he was winning going away, and everyone else was just bottomless. So if Barry thinks that he can get this horse into the Ryanair, he's going to be winning a few chases, but he's definitely going to be winning a few hurdles races at the same time. Hopefully starting on Saturday. I mean, he's 20 pounds lower than his chase mark, which doesn't always correlate, don't get me wrong. But if he can't win a race like this at the weekend and go on to win a couple of chases before Cheltenham, then he's not going to be a Ryanair horse. But he looks like he's grown a lot this year. His work's been good at home. He's ready to go this weekend. I think, again, he's another horse that you can just have a good bit of fun following this year, get a few quid in your pocket with a few wins as well. And if he can get into the Ryanair lineup, mission complete.
Yeah. I still haven't got over the pain of that. I remember I'm back in Percival Le Gaulois, and I was just like, the whole race, I was like, easy money. And then he just came out of nowhere, and I was just like, no, Barry, no. I was like, I just knew as soon as it crossed the line, I knew I was going to get the boom or the message from Joe going, yeah. And I was like, that's not what I want either.
Yeah, good. Good. Nice horse. He's a nice horse anyway.
Yeah, he won well that day. Right. So I think in future we probably need to discuss who we're going to put up against, because it just looks like I've got 0 notes, and my horse to take on is exactly the same as Joe again. It's Firefox.
Okay.
So out of the two horses that Firefox is, again, I think part of it was the fact that I did back him in his early stages, but I think the other thing, the main reason why I've looked to take him on so early on, is because I've seen so much positive noise about him. I've seen people comment saying if there's a horse that is got a tailor-made stamp for the Arkle, it's him, and stuff like that. And so firstly, you're going into one of the hottest races of all the divisions. He's got so much to beat in there. But the thing that really stands out for me is the fact he won once over hurdles out of his 6 attempts. And that was against an unfit Ballyburn, who obviously we know Ballyburn was miles better than that. On all 5 of those other attempts, like whether they were grade 1s or any other sort of, like he was beaten on obviously 4 occasions. And we're not talking about getting beaten by like superstars on some occasions. Like obviously maybe he didn't stay 2 miles 4 when he's beaten by Reading Tommy Wrong, but he was beaten by 2 horses in the Supreme, when I know people saying, oh, a few things went wrong. So everyone made a convincing case for him. He's then beaten by Mystical Power. And then everyone made another convincing case. And yeah, he got the better of Slade Steel. But I just think Slade Steel, Henry de Bromhead's horses were awful at Punchestown. They ran so above themselves at Cheltenham and then so below themselves at Punchestown. I would not be surprised if that form was reversed. So whilst I can see him improving for a fence, and that may be the case, and he may pick, obviously, a win at Down Royal and then maybe win the odd 1 or 2 races, I think when he starts bumping into the likes of Slade Steel, Ballyburn, Impere Pass, all of these sort of horses, like everyone, again, going back to Impere Pass, like everyone forgets how good a hurdler that horse is. Like these Supreme horses have got it to do to match horses like Impere Pass as it is. And I can't see where that improvement's coming from, unless he's like, like a Sprinter Sacra where you improve like £20 for a fence. But again, there's nothing that struck me about watching him that made me think, yeah, this is the next one.
I think I've been really harsh on him. I really do. I think
but we're being harsh because he's second in the Arkle market. He's shorter than all those other horses. He's shorter than Blade Steel. He's shorter than Imperi Pass. He's shorter than all these horses that have beaten him.
But you're saying about like them that he was beaten fair and square. He wasn't beaten fair and square at Aintree. I thought, a few more strides he might have even got there. I think,
but he didn't.
He ran a huge.
that's his regular thing. Is everyone can make an excuse for each of his runs. Like the fourth, obviously, apparently he was lame, but after that, like he was beaten in the Supreme. They were like, but he was unlucky if he was in the right.
He was unlucky. He wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. Why is he always unlucky? Walking around with his Balotelli shirt on.
Horses sandwiched and he didn't get the run. He was beaten fair and square in the Supreme. He would have been a lot closer, though. That's the difference.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have won it. He would have been a lot closer. But he was unlucky because he was sandwiched in. So he lost lengths. At Aintree, he was just beaten. He was running them down. And he ran a huge race at Punchestown. I think you're being harsh. I'm not saying he's an Arkle winner. And for that market, it's fucking wide open. But excuse me, language. Can you swear on this one, Pete, or not?
Yeah, do whatever you want, mate.
I'm not allowed to swear on my one. But yeah. So look,
I just think, like, as you say, like, at Aintree, okay, nearly ran him down. There was only 6 horses in that race, like, and it's almost like he'll always find one too good. And I'm not saying in the early stages. I think towards the DRF and especially with the way all the markets are shaping up, they've removed a few of the races in Ireland over Christmas time. I think one of the 2 mile races is gone.
I think
so. A lot of the big races they're going to end up colliding sooner.
One, didn't they? They've removed that one, which I thought would have been kind of his target, to be honest. That recent post novice chase, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was a great race. I love that race as well.
Yeah, I did. They've scrapped it, but I think he's a little bit harsh. But look, that's what.
No, but it's just about. You have to, and you have to be critical at the top in order to divide him. Otherwise, you're just like that light and fluffy sitting on a fence and going, "Oh yeah, he could turn into a good one. He could turn." But I just think of all the ones, because he's second favourite. I just think there are plenty of, you can make a case plenty against him, and he will be a good chaser. I don't doubt it. But I just think that he'll find one too good at least when he goes to the top level again.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Right, so we should probably talk about Cheltenham, since we're rounding up to the 3 hour mark already. So, right, Friday, Cheltenham. So I'm just going to run through the time of the race and the first and the title of the race, and then we'll see who's got something. So first race is Development's handicap hurdle. I know, Joe, you haven't got anything in this, have you?
No.
So Lee, what have you got?
The first race Friday, sorry, Pete, was it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like a couple. Any harm in asking? I think John Joe's in good form today as we're recording. Johnny Who absolutely bolted up. They're in good form this season coming into this race. Any harm in asking? Handles the track and is on a fair mark, I think. And I think the time to strike is early doors with that one. I think the freshness is the key for Any Harm in Asking. I think around 8 to 1 or something, you can get them extra places. And also at a huge price, worth a couple of pounds, Royal Margot. It's just a huge price, but she's so well in on her hurdle marks compared to chasing. She handles the track as well, which is a bonus. She might need the run, and she's not as good over hurdles, but she's just, the difference in what she's been run against over chasers is huge, I would have said. So I think she's the rank outsider, but anyways, worth a couple of quid.
She's a half sister to Royal Pagaia as well. I love that, Lee. I love that.
There we go. Look at
that.
Lee, pedigree expert as well. Spotting them out.
I'll leave that to Joe. Look, I'm on the.
No, that's nice little cheeky outsider for people if they want to put one on the first race.
You know how I see pedigrees. I say, me brother could done the Great North Run. I wouldn't get past the Tyne Bridge. You know what I mean?
I love that. That's classic, Lee. Classic.
Oh, apology, lads. Racing TV in the background. I'm just the reason I've just fired Racing TV on is because for people who don't know, the time is actually 4:12 on Thursday, and at 4:13 she could be anything is about to line up to run. So the reason I flagged her up was to see if she is still about to run, because if she runs here, which obviously she's about to, it's very unlikely she'll be in the race tomorrow. So we are going to cover the 150, which is the novices chase, Cheltenham Friday. So Joe, if you want to fire away.
Yeah, straightforward this one for me, Lee. I just think Pat Drew is going to be too good. He's obviously a maiden in 10 chase starts, but it's not the fact of he doesn't like to pass horses or doesn't like winning or anything like that. He's run plenty of good races in defeat and possibly just found one or two too good. He's he's receiving weight here from a field of horses that are rated below him. He's a solid jumper, and you've got Kevin Cromwell. You got Gavin Cromwell and Keith Donoghue on board, and there's not many people that obviously ride Cheltenham much better. So I think this is the time that he breaks his maiden. And I think the 11 to 10 is a decent price. I understand why people are a bit questionable about his form and the fact that he hasn't won, but on ratings, he sets a pretty good standard here to me, to be honest. So Pat Drew to take all the beating for me.
Yeah, I'll just jump in there. I'll just row in with everything that Joe said. Obviously, they won it last year with my mate Mozzie. I think it's a brilliant piece of positioning for Gavin Cromwell. He's got £7 on the field, yet he's getting most of the weight. So he's getting eight. He's got £8 on ratings from San Salvador, and he's getting £8 from that rival. So in effect, San Salvador obviously needs to improve £16 if he was to run his race. You're always going to have question marks on fitness, and when you've got a horse that's got 0 for 10, you say, does he want to pass horses? But you look at the Cheltenham Grand Annual, third at Aintree, second in the DRF, fifth at Punchestown. They're all strong handicaps. So for me, I think it's fairly simple. Lee, over to you.
I think I might chance San Salvador. I know what you're saying about the ratings. The fitness edge for me, I think, can seal it. Bolted up in a grade 3 last time out. Won the last few races. Joseph's in great form. I just think he might be ready to take the favourite on, in a small runner field. I think it's between the two, like you say. But look, I won't be having a massive play just because Pat Drew is clear on their ratings, has that form, third in the Grand Annual, like you say, in the DRF second there, runner-up. I think that is definitely the best form in the race. I'm just willing to chance San Salvador at the price.
Okay, and Lee, just going on to that. Sorry, 2 sets, Joe. What price do you think, Laz, and what do you think would be a fair price? Because obviously, she could be anything's clearly running now. So obviously, if they declare they're not running today and then redo the market, what price would you expect San Salvador to be?
Oh, obviously. What price is the favourite now? Sorry,
you got
so 11
to 10. On, San Salvador's 4 to 1. She could be anything's 5 to 2.
Yeah, San Salvador maybe is. If I could get 9 to 4, I'll probably chance against the favourite.
Okay. Yeah, go on, Joe.
I was just going to say you made a good point on Twitter earlier, Pete. I saw your mention about how bookies have possibly cut the price here for She Could
That's
Be Anything.
disgusting, Pete. You made a great point, but that's shocking, isn't it?
It is,
Honestly,
yeah. To save the
honestly,
rule four,
I triple checked it this morning. I was like, why are some 11 to 10 and some evens? And then I looked closer, and I don't know how a rule four works, whether it's specific to each individual bookies. But the ones that were 11 to 10 were going 15 to 8 on She Could Be Anything, whereas all the rest were 5 to 2, and they were going even money or thereabouts. And then come like 2 p.m. in the afternoon, they all of them were like 2 to 1, 15 to 8, 9 to 4. And there is no one backing that horse. They're just cutting it because they know that if you can get the horse, I had a look through all the rule four calculators, and if it's 5 to 2, it's a 25p rule four. But if they can get it to 9 to 4 or shorter, it then goes into the next category, which is a 30p rule four.
Yeah.
And in reality, I mean,
all bookies are the same for the rule four. It's across the board, and it'll go off the price. So, like you're saying, if they're cutting it again, you're going to get into that 30%, and
and then it's just, and that's why I find it hard when obviously you get bookmakers complaining about how they're hard done by at times.
I know
they know exactly what they're doing, because if you don't want to take the price, then either just take the market down and put it back up. But the problem is you could be waiting till an hour before the race tomorrow for him to say no, or you have to just bite the bullet, or you price the favourite up short and say, do you know what? It's likely that goes non-runner, so we'll put 25 to 1. We'll put it on at 4 to 5.
She can't get on the boat after she's run tonight, I presume.
Well, she can, because she's declared. Yeah, but obviously it's just whether they choose to do so. That's why I was putting on in the background. I was putting the race on, because obviously if she won hard on the steel, technically she could get on the trip across. But it's just so unlikely that I'd imagine it would only have been if she'd gone to this race, fell in like the first or whatever, and then gone. But she hasn't fallen in the first, and she isn't going to have an easy race either. So I'd imagine that's long gone. So she will be a non-runner, but I'd imagine it'll be after this race finishes.
Madness.
Right, on to the next. Anyway, Lee, seeing as I'm with you anyway, the handicap chase, square in the air handicap chase, over 2 miles, 14.25. Matata heading the market. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think Matata's got a huge chance. Ran second in a fair handicap here, and went close at Lingfield in a good race. It was a good pot there, and yeah, I think it's kind of Matata's to lose. I think the yard likes to fire them in early. Nigel Twiston-Davies, and he's had plenty of winners, and it'd be good to see Daryl Jacob in the double green there going and landing it. Yeah, there's a few in there with a chance. I think we're the favourite. No strong play.
Okay, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be. I see a lot of people saying Calico's well handicapped. He just throws in too many wobblers for me. I just think it depends how this race pans out, because Matata and Dancing on My Own are going to be probably going for the front, taking each other on, which just could bring something else into it. But I think the time to catch Matata is going to be fresh. I am going to side with him here, although the price is possibly a little bit too short. Dancing on My Own is a course rated 153. It is quite high, but he's a solid horse. He jumps well, so you're probably going to get the best out of him regardless. So I think it's between the two, and I'm going to be backing Matata. One quick word on Royal Mur, though, currently 33 to 1 for David Pipe here. If you fast forward the race and go to the home turn, I imagine this one could still be sat on the bridle, but whether he's going to have enough pace to beat them up the hill is going to be a different question. But if you want an each way play, have a look at Royal Mur at 33 to 1. But I would side with Matata for the win, despite him being a little bit of a nutter himself, to be honest.
Joe with a cheeky long shot in there. Right, so I agree with the lads. So I've got 2 in here. The first one is Matata for all the reasons mentioned, and I do like the freshness angle. He's won 3 times fresh. If he's been off a break of like 100 days or more, and also even when he had short breaks, 78-day break and a 51-day break, you look at his numbers later on, and obviously he's not winning. His second to Liberty Hunter is a strong piece of form. 4th in the Arkle. I know it's only 4th, but still RPR 152. He's beaten 20 lengths, but it's still a very strong race for a handicap of this level. The only question you'd have with Matata is how well handicapped he is against some of these. But when you look around, like Dancing on My Own isn't getting any younger. And I agree with the whole they're going to go hammer and tongs at the front. But I do think Matata, it was like a question of like looks over of like who's the maddest one. It's like when you're in like one of them head-to-head races of who's going to wipe each other out. Matata's not going to pull out. And I think he's going to go quicker than what Dancing on My Own will want to go. And I think in the end, he will win the battle for going forward. I can't imagine they're going to both just ruin each other's chances. And I think once he gains that lead, he will be tough to peg back. Saying that, my other one is not so much a dark horse, but one at the other end of the weights is Scarface. And I think if they
don't give it away, man, Pete, don't give it away.
And I do think that if they do go to Hammer and Tong up in front, I just think he's a real strong traveller. He's really light in on the weights. He picked up a few wins, but he just looked a proper project horse last year. He's dropping back in trip, and I can imagine if these do go, as long as he doesn't get too taken off his feet in the early stages, if they do go too quick, whether he's running into the places or whether they've burnt themselves out, I just think he's still really lightly raced. He hasn't gone up much in the handicap. I mean, he's dropped a pound from his third behind in Excelsius Dio. And what price would that sort of horse be in here? And I just think, he's got a nice at 8-1. I wouldn't put anyone off each way. Or if you're backing both like myself, then I'd go Matata and then a smaller bet on.
I've backed both of them, and he's the choice of Brendan Powell, who could have rode Triple Trade.
Yeah, Triple Trade, which relates across the Calico.
Yeah, good shout. I was trying to keep it under wrap to try and get the bit of price here.
So now what you know, lads, is that Lee's basically going to put up favourites unless he's already on, because he doesn't want the prices going.
I'm here for the winners, and I spread the joy. That's what I want.
Yeah. Right then. So, kicking off.
Just quickly, Pete.
So who's... Yeah, go on.
She could be anything, just bolted up there as well, by the way. She won today.
Was she head in chest?
Pretty much.
Straight onto the aeroplane. Yeah, so basically, she's won. I can't see her running now tomorrow.
No.
Good thing she didn't run, because obviously she was clearly handy if she's bolted up. So anyway, on to the 3 o'clock, the novices hurdle. So who wants to take the lead on this one then? I'll put it this way: does anyone not like? Is anyone against the favourite?
No, not me.
Sorry,
Gail Marler.
She's 8 to.
Oh no, yeah, she'll win.
Gail Marler 8-11, Brave Knight 9-2, Val Grand 5-1.
Yeah, 10 lengths listed winner in Ireland last time out. She's ahead of these, I think.
If anything's going to come out of here and be a graded animal, it's probably going to be her.
Yeah.
And then you look at Brave Knight as well, the way Nichols runners are finishing their races. Do you want to be trusting that at the Cheltenham Hill? Probably not. Like Lee said, she's a listed winner. So she does lose the allowance here, but she should be far too good for these.
But she's still getting weight, and she's got the best in there.
Well, I think she gets a penalty for winning a listed race, but then she gets a few pounds taken off for being a mare in the race. But like you said, she should be taken. And surely 8-11 short, but should be a steal.
And she obviously beat the Grade 2 Persian War, despite being a poor race, Flying Fortune. So yeah, I've got nothing against the negatives. Obviously, Brave Knight, the form of the yard is a negative, and obviously on the ratings has got plenty to do. And Valgrand, I thought was more likely to be a handicapper further down the line than to be.
Valgrand was entered in the handicap as well, and I was going to maybe have a strong look at that, but taking a chance. Yeah, the favourite should win.
Yeah, right. On to the amateur jockeys race. So 3:35. We'll go with you first, Lee. What have you got for us?
You need to give us prices. All this round.
Okay. So
up my head.
All right. So are you wise to that? CN Dana, Strictly a Dancer, Atlanta Brave, Mole Court, Jack's Parrot.
Just a horse I really like, and I'll have a couple of quid, but definitely not. I don't think I'll put anything up for the race. Atlanta Brave. I just see the horse having potential for more. Whether I need to run back, I thought. Look, it was beaten fair and square when it ran here the last time. But stays for fun, I would have said. Kerry Lee's not had a winner in the last few weeks, but this could be one to go close if jumping well. Ran a huge race and just denied when I was on it at fair price as well at Newbury. I was gutted, but look, Atlanta Brave if I had to take a selection.
Okay, Joe, what you got?
I mean, look, I'd love to see Cian Darnell win this for Deck Carroll and the Take a Pool podcast. That would just be wicked to see him get to Cheltenham with a winner. No real strong fancy. Strictly a Dancer could go well, but one of my favourite horses in here called Mole Court for Ben Pauling. Jumps for fun. A horse that just loves racing. Anyone that doesn't like racing, says that horses don't enjoy it, well, just go and watch this fella. He blimmin' loves his racing. So I'd love Mole Court to win. Perhaps if I've had a couple of winners before, I'll have a punt, but for now, I'm going to be leaving it on.
Okay, fair. I don't have a strong opinion on the one horse that I do like in this. I haven't backed it at the moment. Is Jack's Parrot. I just thought he just looked like a proper shell of a horse last year. He'd come across from France, and I'm not even sure he bolted up 71 lengths and then he absolutely scrambled home next time out. He looked well beat and he managed to get up on the line. I thought the booking of Will Biddick was interesting in obviously amateurs race to be able to acquire his services. Because no doubt he would have had a few offers. And obviously Oliver Greeno and Josh Guerra know the time of day. I really think they are a good set of trainers. But as I've said, the problem is with him, a lot of his form is on soft and heavy ground. And I just think tomorrow we might well get a lot faster ground. So I've held off on him for now. So on to the 410, the novices hurdle, led by Potter's Charm, Manila 6-0, and Kingston James, and First Confession. So Joe, what have you got for us?
I like Potter's Charm here, but I'm concerned if there's money if money comes to this Gordon Elliott horse, then I think you've got to worry. But as far as I can see, reading the form, I think Potter's Charm's going to take the world of beating here. He won going away last time for the local boys, the Twist and Davis team. He should relish the Cheltenham Hill as well. So,
Did you see his leg action last time, Joe?
is it? No.
He was his leg action's mental. If you watch him, he might do it again. I presume he will because of the way he runs. But it was like a clock winding up at the back.
Like Facile Vega all the way out.
Yeah, I thought he went wrong. I thought it was that exaggerated, but that's just how he runs. It's crazy to watch, and he'd probably do it again. But
do you think Lee, just mention that? Do you think that'll affect him? Obviously, because this is going to be better ground. Then obviously he's one on soft and heavy ground. Is that going to affect him?
It did worry me, even like going around Cheltenham, just the way his action was. But he looks to have plenty of potential. Gordon Elliott's right out of form. I know just had the winner there we mentioned before, but he's not been firing on all cylinders, as I would have said, and I'm happy to take him on and take on one that's in form and had that easy win there the last time out. I like Potter's Charm.
Was it not the? Are you getting it confused, Lee, with that horse called Ross Cahill who ran at Foss last?
Oh, mate, it might be in that
because it came to my mind. No, but same colours and everything. To be fair, like
was it?
Yeah. He was the newcomer, and I know exactly the one you mean. And I think I remember you putting something on Twitter about it as well, saying his leg action
look,
or something.
I tell you, all this is look. I've got nothing scripted or written. It might be, Joe. It might be. You might well corrected if not. One of them looks like he's
Basically, have a watch of Potter's Charm. Everyone watch Potter's Charm.
One of them looks like they're running. They've just nicked something from a shop and running away from.
Yeah. So Joe, just to elaborate, obviously with Manila 6-0, you were saying if the money comes for Elliott, like what's your thought process behind that?
Well, he hasn't drifted at all in the market, and I think when you get a Gordon Elliott horse, if you don't see any money for a Gordon Elliott horse, you're seeing a big drifter. If you start seeing a little bit of money near the time, they brought him over for a reason. That's basically what I'm going to tell you. So
I
don't think
they're both 2-1 a piece at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Potter's Charm's the one on paper that has all the form that you see. So I think if you start seeing money from Manila 6-0, they're seeing a little bit more out of this gelding at home than what you're going to see necessarily on paper. That's my point here, really.
Okay, right, on to the final race of Friday, and that is the 4:45, the conditional jockeys handicap hurdle, led by Fiercely Proud. So before I run for anything else, both of you obviously have had Ben Paulin and had chats with Ben Paulin in recent weeks, and having watched, I don't know which one of you it was, I watched, and Ben Paulin was pretty outright with the fact that this is going to be a prep. However, he has also decided, despite it being a prep, he's going to put a £10 claimer on it. So even though it is a prep, he's running off 119 and technically is £10 well in for a horse that they already thought was well handicapped. So we'll go with you first, Joe, because you're nodding your head. What is your thoughts on Fiercely Proud here and also obviously the race in general?
Yeah, this is one of the bets of the weekend for me. I know it's a conditionals jockey's handicap, but he's running there off 129. And obviously last year he split Jericho de Repene and Lump Sum. Lump Sum subsequently went on and won the Welsh Champion Hurdle. He's now a 141, 142 horse. In my stable tour, Ben Paulin labelled this as his Greatwood Hope, obviously for next month. And if he's going to be a Greatwood Hope, he's got to be winning a race like this off 129, like you said, within a £10 claimer. I just don't see how you can be happy with a horse not winning this, despite it being first time out. He'd gone pretty well fresh, obviously, last season too, so I don't see where the issue is. I know it's going to be a prep run and it'll put him right for next time, but he gets all of this weight in hand here. I think 5-2 is an absolute steal. And I wouldn't usually say that about a handicap hurdle with conditional jockeys, but this horse looks seriously, seriously well in. I'm hoping Lee's going to back me up on this one too.
Yeah, I'll go for it. Yeah, I think worthy favourite. The team's in good form. £10 claimer, and what's not to like that form that Jones mentioned as well. And lump sum is definitely franked that, and I'm on him.
He was keen as well that day, free. You know, he's still right there. So
The problem, literally, it's just like Pete says. Ben Paulin mentioned to us the other day. It is the prep for the Greatwood, but you should be winning that with £10 off his back and all. It should come there swinging.
that's the thing, isn't it? If they want him to go there anyway, and he can't win off 129 with a £10 claimer, then it's like his mark's going to be, you know, got to be winning this.
Yeah, he's a worthy favourite.
Yeah, I went because of the comments you'd made. I looked to try and take him on, but the further I looked into the race, they've all got very similar to form to what he has. But obviously, one, he's got improvements to come, and two, he's got £10 off his back. And I just thought the only concern I'd have for me is obviously it's quite an inexperienced jockey, the conditional that's aboard, like Callum Pritchard. Like, I mean, he's had 45 rides over hurdles. He's had seconds, thirds, and fourths, but he's had 0 wins. So
yeah, I don't think he's.
And I know it might obviously be a steering job, but Cheltenham's not like a gimme for a track.
No,
100%.
But it's that I'd rather have. Look, you take that experience, but if you're getting £10 off, I mean, it's not like
we'll find out tomorrow, won't we?
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, and it's horrible because you see him getting proper pelters. You really don't know. He could be really good, and obviously 45 races and seconds, thirds, and fourths means he's clearly experienced. So he knows how to ride a horse.
Yeah.
And it's not like you're backing on someone who's had 10 runs and lost them all. It's just unfortunate that he hasn't won. But the other side of things is maybe they're thinking, as he does a lot of work at home, maybe Ben Paulin's thinking, I really want to give this lad a winner. So, and like you say, if you've got £10 off your back, how much can the handicapper give you? Even if you won by a length or two, if he can't turn around and say, "Oh, I'm going to give him another £10 for the Greatwood," because obviously he's had £10 off his back,
and he's won at Cheltenham as well. Didn't he win the bumper last year sometime as well at Cheltenham? Fiercely Proud. I'm sure he did. And you got to think as well with Ben Paulin. He's got a good bunch of jockeys with Keelan Woods, Ben Jones. Like, you know, I don't think he'd let him ride him if he didn't feel he was capable, at least. Anyway, again, like you said, we'll find out.
Well. Yeah. Because of the condition of the race, they've got to take a chance with one of them, haven't they?
Sure.
Yeah, I think. Look, me and Joe on, get stuck in.
Get on.
Right. Okay, right. So let's just have your best bet of Friday then.
There it is for me. Fiercely Proud. Yeah, I can't see that getting beat at the price.
Lee?
If I go on any price, then Gail Moller I think will just win. But at a price, Matata then.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with Matata. I'd be against you, obviously, Path Through, but if we're going for something with a little bit more juice,
yeah, Matata. That's taking juice. But I thought as well, I might double Gail Moller up with the Tristan Davis horse there before Potter.
Okay,
there's your double then.
Right, so yeah, and then it'll be a treble. Right, so on to Saturday. Has anyone got anything in the novices limited handicap chase 110, led by Guard Your Dreams, Marv and Michael? That was easy enough. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. On to the 1345. So this race is cut up a fair bit. It's a novices hurdle led by Intense Approach 5-2, Millforce 4-1. I don't know if these are the right prices. Fine Margin, Donny Devato, and then Harakuri Golf. So, Joe, what have you got?
Yeah, I got a big fancy here, fellas. Like, obviously, I'm quite a big advocate for your point-to-point racing, and there's a horse in there called Millforce for Gavin Cromwell. He had 5 or 6 starts in point-to-points, finished third, second, and then won. Then went straight onto the racetrack for Gavin Cromwell, beat a really good field in really good fashion. Again, learning on the job, but again, you look at him at the beginning of the race and the end, completely different animal. That was at Bellierstown, and he won really, really nicely. He then went to Cork, I think it was. He didn't beat. He was second to Luck in the City by a neck, but he battled with him all of the way to the line on the step up to 3 miles. I am convinced that we've got a really smart horse in the making here. I know Intense Approach is good. Got some decent form, obviously, from the Persian War. I'd be seriously disappointed if we couldn't get Millforce across the line here. And I think he's one that's going to absolutely relish Cheltenham. and the fact that Gavin Cromwell's willing to bring him over here after just 2 starts under rules, I think that's a talent story, and I'm pretty damn sweet on him. I mentioned him on Racing Interests Spaces as well the other day. I'm pretty sure he's got a good horse on his hand there, and I'd be very disappointed if he couldn't take this, to be honest.
Bullish opinion from
Yeah.
Joe. What about yourself, Lee?
I'm on the
Oh, he's
exact.
actually. Oh, I've only just seen the prices have come back round. So yeah, so Millforce and Intense Approach are joint favourites now. Yeah. Sorry,
Yeah.
carry on.
Millforce as well. Sent off 6-4 favourite the last day, just beaten by a Willie Mullins horse. Progressed again from them point to points. Bolted up on the first day, second the last day, battled on well, exactly as Joe said it. I think has potential for more. We've seen plenty from Intense Approach. We know where that horse is at. And the John McConnell horses are right out of form. Absolutely wouldn't back them with a barge pole. You're saying about Paul Nicholls, he's had a ton of runners and he hasn't. I think he's had one winner in 43 or something. And not for me. Millforce will win, I think.
That's what I wanted to hear. The other favourites out of form. Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Intense Approach either, mainly just because I just thought that the Grade 2 that they all ran in the Persian War, I just thought that was such an awful race, and Flying Fortune absolutely took it apart. I mean, and obviously we've gone through Gale Force Marla and stuff like that. I just think they've just rolled the dice here as the sort like, oh, that was an easy, and they've just stumbled across another very winnable race. But like you say, Gavin Cromwell must have had plenty of horses at home that he could have aimed at this, and he's decided to take aim with this one. And the other horse that obviously Fine Margin, you'd have a question mark, is a horse that's not always put it all in. Like it's been pulled up, does crazy things, finishes 10th. Looked like was putting it all together, but even on numbers and stuff,
them are shocking runs, Pete. Them wins are shocking. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, the form. That's what I mean. And that horse is beginning to obviously look quite exposed after 11 starts now. Highest RPR of 130, whereas like you said, the only horse really of the front three improvement wise is going to be from Millforce.
Yeah.
So that's probably why the market's moving for it. So okay, on to the 1420. The big handicap chase of the weekend, led by Broadway Boy 7-2, Some Scope 13-2, Senior Chief 7-1, La Milos 9-1, and the others are double figures of rest. So Lee, what have you got for us?
Tell us the other double figures again, please.
Lee the Magician. You need a pen and paper, mate. You got Does He Know 11-1, Chasing Fire.
Does he know? That's mine. Does he know? A Grinthorpe winner has won multiple times round. Yeah, won a Grade 2 over hurdles. Kim Bailey is in red hot form as well, and I think again another one who, if you can catch him fresh as well, I think he's on a fair mark. I think he's a pound higher or lower, one of them from that Doncaster win, and I think the time to catch him is now, because he's won twice. It was a few seasons ago, but he's won twice at this October meeting. And I like Does He Know? I think it's a fair price.
Okay, fair enough. I like Does He Know, but I like two in here, but I like Some Scope more than Does He Know for the same form lines. Obviously, when they both met in the bottomless ground.
I nearly text the owner to try and message them to try and get a word on Some Scope. It was the other horse that I looked at, but I was going to say, like, is he ready to rock and roll or not?
That is my only concern, because he's 0 for 2 fresh. He did have a bit of a break, and he was all right after that, as in he ran well. But that would be my concern. But at the same time, as you mentioned before, like the fugitive colours, they love plotting around these big handicap chases. Obviously, he took to chasing well last year, picked up a couple of wins, beat the Ferrymaster, where he travelled all over him. Obviously, the handicapper took that into consideration, whacked him up £10. But he then travelled all over Does He Know as well. But he just outbattled him in the finish. He ran fourth on his final start at Cheltenham in April. But I just think, even though that wasn't too far below form, I think that was the end of his season. He was tiring legs. I think he'll come back this season, and he must have wiggle room still off his mark of 126, only a pound higher than that. Yeah. Does He Know running? But the horse that I really like, who I really did not expect to be running here, still priced around 6 to 7 to 1, and would be my Saturday nap each way, is Senior Chief for Henry de Bromhead. I was very shocked to see that he's decided to send this horse over so early in the season. Only had the 4 chase starts. I'll try and keep this as short as possible. He finished behind Gaelic Warrior, and obviously none other than I Know the Way You're Thinking. He was only beaten three lengths behind. I know the way you're thinking. This was back in obviously in his early days where he's getting his handicap mark ready. I know your way you're thinking is now rated 157. 3 lengths beaten on that day. He then raced behind Manella Kakuna, gave him a good race, but was still beaten just under 3 lengths. That horse then won the Sandown handicap, now rated 158, I believe. Then went and broke his own maiden, beating Dufflecoat, made to work for it and looked pretty as in hard work for it. But I do think maybe if they were looking at handicaps, maybe that was by design. Pulled up in the Irish Grand National when sent off 10-1, never really in the race. But another positive for coming over. Obviously, all those sort of things. He runs off 142. Those two horses that he got within 3 lengths are now rated 157 and 158. So you're talking about a £16 difference. He's coming across early season. The trainer won it. Henry de Bromhead won it with Wacker Clan last year. First time cheek pieces. He's ran on ground that's yielding, not necessarily good, but he's won and gone well on yielding before. This is only his 5th chase start. He's very uncomplicated, jumps, travels, and I just think there's very little not to like. I know it's obviously a big field handicap. You obviously running the risk when they're first time out, but I just think if Henry was going to get one ready, this does make a lot of sense. And it's a 52 grand pot, so it's not like you're racing for pittance. So I just think each way 4 places, and where I have obviously put up 2, I really do like his chances in being in the first 4 places. So yeah, Joe, on to you.
No, that's fine. Yeah, I'm actually in the same boat as Lee here. I just think Does He Know will go really well fresh. He's got some good form around the track. And the form of Kim Bailey just has to be taken note of as well. But not a strong punt for me, but I probably will get involved with him on the day. That being said, he's 11-1 now. He might even get a little bit shorter. So yeah, I'd side with Lee here on with Does He Know.
Okay. Onto the has anyone got anything in the Pretemps handicap?
No, but I think it would be worth mentioning Botox has his running here and not in the West Yorkshire Hurdle that he won last year in 2 weeks' time. That's a graded race, but George Gorman mentioned that the owners are away or something in a couple of weeks' time, so he's running here instead. So I know is he going to be fully geared up? Like who knows? But I just think that was quite an interesting one to point out at least.
Yeah, and they're claiming off him, which it'd be strange to claim
Hmm.
off to be going in to claim off him if you're not obviously. Why would you claim if you're not looking to win the race? Because a lot of the rest of them obviously are just looking to get in the first 4. Like that Wall Park, surely that's an absolute stone wall to be aiming for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, ready for the big event next year.
And of course, the winners get an automatic entry now to the Pertemps
Yeah.
in March as well. So they're going to be better races now because people are going to try and win them rather than plot their horses around there. Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, maybe he's got a squeak then. But there is an interesting one there. Zane Knights, he's won here before. These sort of horses just seem to go quite well. Yeah, no real say at the moment.
Okay. Right, on to the 3:30, the Mattison's Holding Hurdle. Lee, what have you got for us?
Probably my nap of the weekend. I would have said Bottle of Secret. I think it's just got the best form in here. The 2 dangers who were entered are now not declared in Salva and Caliph de Burley. And I think the pace in the race will come from Bottle of Secret as well. Has been going from the front when headed in previous races, has battled on back as well. So that's another good element, I would have said. But I think we'll lead Pitt a post, to be honest. I think Keith will keep it simple. The odds in form and relating to 5 winners and had 3 runs on the flat, 2 wins, and then had 3 runs for this yard over hurdles. Won a grade 3, won a grade 2, and then runner up in a grade 1 behind Cargeese. And we know how that form's worked out. That horse was second to Sagino, second in the Triumph behind Marsborough. And look, just strong form. And I think we'll lead them. The one slight worry is the ground because has won on softer conditions. But best form in here, stick with a favourite and don't complicate it.
Fairly strong shout there. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, exactly the same as Lee. This should be really hard to beat. You can get 6-4 all of a sudden, though. Don't know what that's about. This is
I think if you're looking at the racing pose, it's not. It's still even money on odds checker.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, this thing should be odds on. Like you look at, like I said, I mentioned Dodge Along. He has had form with Salva about 12 lengths back. Salva isn't running, but he's the same rating as the favourite here. I mean, even him as the next to the betting's got tons to find. Like, surely this is a winner in waiting.
A key form line is that Cargese run from the
of
Prime,
course.
because
Yeah.
Botley was just beat by Cargese, and she was second in the Triumph, a long way ahead of Salva. So
yeah, he's got to be a shoe in this thing, hasn't he? He's got to be.
Yeah, I echo everything the lads have said. Like we've all spoke about. I don't understand. It's one of those things this time of year when you fear most, because it's like you don't know something that the bookies do. Because when the two major
dangers beat,
say that again.
Still even money.
Evens on the exchanges,
yeah. So when the two major dangers, Khalif de Burley and Salva, both went out, I expected this to be at least a shade of odds on 10 to 11. But you could argue, there's arguments to say it could be 4 to 6. And you look through Dodger Long. Obviously, he's had plenty of runs. He was impressive last time out when beating Liari. But if Liari had done that, obviously Liari would be a lot shorter price in here. But you just look at Dodger Long's form. It's not like he's an unexposed horse. That was a massive improvement that he showed, but he's still only 120 RPR, and he's obviously rating at 127. That leaves him with £16 to find the favourite. The favourite gives him 8. I think he's still got plenty of work to do. And the same applies for Give Me 5. Give Me 5's got a reverse form of 14.5 lengths that he was beating. I know it was in Bottler Secret's soft and heavy ground. And he was still getting £3 on the day. He gets 8 here, so he's got £5 better off. And the only thing that I could see really looking at as potential question marks for the favourite is obviously the ground, because it'd be the fastest ground he's ran on. But listening to Gavin Cromwell, he doesn't seem too fussed by that. And also, obviously, the fact that the other two market rivals, they're both race fit and he's not. But I just think Gavin Cromwell has been going on about this race for quite some time. And I think he'll have him fairly close to being hard fit. And it's been his early season target. A nice sighter at Cheltenham as well. And I just think they'll keep it uncomplicated. And I think Evans is it's a fairly big price. And
you have to remember as well, Pete, that the target this meeting last season, in they've been targeting Cheltenham early doors. That Flooring Porter win here last season, and the target of these races are early doors and can pick up nice pots without the home team, their side coming into play, really.
Oh, yeah, exactly, for sure. Well, he had a treble here last year, didn't he? So it wouldn't surprise me if he's lined up very similar. Obviously, he's got Path de Rue on the Friday. So, yeah, right. So moving on, we've got the Novices Chase. We're nearly through. 4:05, the Novices Chase. Theatre Man, there's only one bookmaker up at the moment, I think, and that's William Hill. So Theatre Man 9-4, Yeet Star 3-1, Highland 4-1, Transmission 13-2, Moon d'Orange 15-2, and Bow to Greatness, Lee's favourite, at 17-2. So come on then, Lee, kick us off. What did Ben Paulin say to you about Bow to Greatness?
I think he'll need the run, if I remember correctly. I think he'll need the run. I don't think he'll take this. I like Theatre Man, who went close to Ginny's Destiny last season, but the yard's not in great form either. I would take Highland, who bolted up over 3 mile here, over hurdles last season. I'd take Highland. The only thing I have is betting with William Hill.
That's it.
That's the only issue I have is betting with William Hill. People
but you won't have to worry about that, because obviously in an hour's time or whatever, come 6 p.m, all the bookmakers will be up. It's just they're the only ones up at the moment.
Yeah, no, but I think that's a fair price.
Okay.
And I like Theatre Man, I really do, and I think that was a huge run when staying on second behind Ginny's Destiny, who's franked the form since. But yeah, Highland for me, who stays well.
Okay, Joe, what about yourself?
Nothing here for me, Pete. Nothing at all. Nothing to say. Nothing to see here.
So for me, I thought I could see Highland. I really liked last year, and obviously they're always going on about the fast ground. My only concern for him was that I just thought Nico is one of the masters at getting a horse to jump a fence, and I thought he was very assured when he was trying to get him over his fences, especially in his final start last year. Obviously, they're going to have had time, maturity, and stuff like that, and that was my concern. Theatre Man, obviously, he's getting weight from the field, and like you said, Lee, that form of Ginny's Destiny, I can't imagine there's many horses in here the fact that he's getting £5 from his market rivals as well, that are going to get within 3 lengths of Ginny's Destiny, who obviously we know is an absolute flipping monster, especially around Cheltenham and jumping a fence. My only query for him was the same as you. Like, obviously, Richard Bandy, is he going to have him ready? For me, he looks very well handicapped. And if they're not just trying to get a tick in a box, then surely the big pot, you'd be aiming at something like the November, one of the big handicaps in November. But it's interesting that first time cheek pieces go on. David Bass rides. So maybe it is a statement of intent. The one that I thought was the dark horse, which is why I'm waiting for all the marks to go up. I thought Yeats Star, which on ratings doesn't look like he's got any sort of strong outlying chance, but he did raise some good numbers over hurdles. In the handicaps, his chase form, he just got a tick in the box. He got the victory, winning fairly comfortably. The numbers were low, the form is moderate, but I've looked back through this, and he did this very similar profile with Chemical Energy 2 years ago. Gordon Elliott did, and 2 years before that, he did it with Galvin. Galvin was much more exposed and had a much stronger profile, but Chemical Energy in particular, he sent him over, and it was like a sighter. And if they hadn't changed all the rulings for the National Hunt Chase, I'd be wondering. I wonder if he was sending Yeet Star over to run in this big handicap, this big 3 mile race with a sighter of the National Hunt Chase as one of his potential horses for that. But obviously, all the things have changed for that, so I don't know. And like we've talked about, it's how much, what price do you want to take into the incorporation that Elliott's running a lot of horses and not all of them are running their races.
Yeah.
So at the moment, until I get more prices, it would be Theatre Man or Yeet Star for me, but I just want to see the prices. And then finally, onto the bumper. Has anyone got anything in the bumper?
Definitely not.
Okay, Joe?
Not a real interest as such, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on Fergal in the bumper. Obviously, he's a local boy as well, so he does quite well here. Interesting point-to-point recruit possibly for Skelton. Fortune Demare, he cost 105 grand, unseated on his first start. But on his second point-to-point start, he lost a lot of ground at one point. He was boxed in, then found loads at the end. He just could be quite a shrewd move from the team. But as far as punting goes, no interest until the day, of course.
Yeah, and just mentioning Fergal, he has won it 3 times in recent years, and he has got one first time out for him. So maybe worth a note when obviously the prices go up. So have either of you guys got anything else you want to flag up over the next 2 days, 3 days, anything over the weekend?
I think Al Aussie will win the Group 3 on Saturday.
Get off.
Al Aussie,
unless he's going over a hurdle or a chase start, get out of here.
You asked us the question. I'm giving people winners. Take it or leave it.
I hope they win. Otherwise, I want belt-fed abuse on this Jumps podcast.
I love that, Lee.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So Al Aussie for Lee on Saturday.
Opening the doors to anything else. We've just covered the whole of the weekend at Cheltenham.
Yeah, but it's not just, that's the thing. It's not just Cheltenham. Like Joe's talking about Ireland.
Yes, I'm giving you a winner.
Okay. Right, so Lee says Al Aussie, absolute certainty.
It's 11-8. The danger was Al Kareem who beat.
Oh, is he not running?
And that horse is now out the race.
Okay.
Prefers better ground, but won multiple Group 3s, and this is his for the taking. Big Jim Crowley's back on board. 11-8 gets stuck in.
Okay. Joe, you got anything?
Hagranka Dete, as I said, 4:13 at Galway. Fiercely proud. Okay. The nap of the weekend. Next best would be Millforce. Like we said, right, covered it already now, yeah.
Lee, nap of Saturday?
Bottle of Secret for you, wasn't it, Lee?
Bottle of Secret, thanks, Joe.
That's all right. I know you were like,
this is how I've had to wing it. I've been manic busy, and I haven't even had my breakfast and dinner yet. I haven't.
And people don't realise we actually chatted for about 45 minutes before we even started.
We did.
So we've been on for about 4 hours now. Yeah. So my nap on the Saturday will be Senior Chief each way. I do think Bottle of Secret will hopefully win, but Senior Chief each way for me in the 220, about 6 or 7 to 1. So if there's nothing else left to add, I will put the names in the bottom. I know obviously you should know them by now, but we've got Ginger Joe, which you can find. Joe, where can we find you?
Yeah, Ginger Joe Racing on Twitter, same on YouTube. Yeah, come have a look, all sorts of content being dished out.
And also Racing Lee on Twitter.
Yeah, at Racing Lee 1 on Twitter, and Only Fools of Horses we do with the lads Harry and Ash, and we're back on Saturday morning for our live spaces there, 10:30 a.m. every Saturday.
Well, Lee's going to condense everything he's just told you into about half an hour.
Yeah, well, no, luckily, oh no, Harry's hosting this weekend. I've been hosting, so I get the waffle out the way normally, and I get the host. But Harry's hosting because I'm at Cheltenham, so I might not be on, actually, to be honest.
Okay, spot on. Right, cheers for that, lads, and thank you very much. And
Cheers,
tune
Pete.
in again soon.
Cheers, Pete. Cheers, Lee.
Cheers, Joe.